We are calling the meeting to order. It is 6:03. And could we have roll call?
Commissioner Emerson?
Present.
Commissioner Momsen?
Here.
Vice Chair Knudsen?
Here.
Commissioner Reiners?
Here.
Chair Schlelein?
Here.
Thank you, and let the record show that Commissioner Van Wagner and Commissioner Smull are absent.
Thank you. Next, we have the approval of the agenda. However, I think we may just revert for a second and introduce our new commissioner, Commissioner Reiners. Could you introduce yourself and just say a few words about yourself? Sure.
There, okay. I have lived in Sonoma for 6 years now, visited several times before, and my background includes 30 plus years in fine art, owning my own gallery. I now work for Arena Galleries in Healdsburg, St. Helena, Mill Valley, and Napa, and have been involved with a few projects at the museum and love a lot of what we have going on in Sonoma, and look forward to doing my part.
Thank you, Robin. Now we have a approval of the agenda. Could I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
Roll call.
Commissioner Emerson?
Yes.
Commissioner Momsen?
Yes.
Commissioner Reiners?
Yes.
Vice Chair Knudsen?
Yes.
Chair Schlelein?
Yes.
Thank you. The motion carries unanimously.
Thank you. Next up, excuse me, 1.0 comments from the public. At this time, members of the public may comment on any item not appearing on the agenda. We ask that you keep your comments to 3 minutes or less. Under state law, the commission cannot discuss or act upon matters presented under this item at this time. For items appearing on the agenda, the public will be invited to comment when the item comes up for the commission's consideration. Upon being acknowledged by the chair, please step to the podium and speak into the microphone. Begin by stating and spelling your name. Is there anyone that wishes to make a public comment? Come on up.
Good evening. I'm Stephanie Fine. I'm a resident of Sonoma for 25 years, and I'm the president of the Sonoma Sister Cities Association. I wanted to come this evening to invite everyone to our International Mingle and Jingle, which will be held on December 6th at the Burlingame Hall on Spain Street at the Congregational Church. We offer a selection from our 7 sister cities, which includes Aswan, Egypt, Penglai in China, Pátzcuaro in Mexico, Greve in Italy, Chambly-Musigny in France, and Tokai, Hungary. The reason that I am here this evening is to bring before you an idea which came up from our board of directors, which is to identify those 7 sister cities and place a signpost very much like the vintners and growers have throughout the Sonoma Valley, white post with the mileage to our 7 sister cities to encourage visitors to know that we truly are international in nature. I want to share with you that in the past 4 years, 3 of our mayors have been out of the country, including this year. Mayor Ferrar Rivas was just in Pátzcuaro, Mexico at the invitation of their mayor for the Day of the Dead. We also had an entire delegation in October, 10 members who were in Penglai, China. Thank you very much for your time, and I hope that you might consider a signpost placed at the Carnegie Building on the plaza so that visitors can know that we are truly international in our hearts. Thank you so very much.
Thank you, Stephanie. Any others?
Yes, thank you. My name is Jim Silverman. I live in Sonoma at 1535 East Napa Street. I produced the Sonoma Plaza History Tour with the Sonoma Community Center. There are free videos here telling the natural history, wine heritage, stories about significant buildings, people, a lot of personal memories, and history through art as well. The content is all free. I'd love to make it available to the committee. I recently did a storytelling event at Andrews Hall, sold it out. It was a multimedia show called Illustrated Storytelling, the Sonoma Plaza History Tour. I described it as a journey through time to a familiar place. So I'm having a lot of fun being a sort of self-appointed history ombudsman here in the community, collaborating with a number of nonprofit organizations to promote history conversations. So I'm here to offer my content and my services to the committee. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. If anyone has taken that tour, it's pretty incredible. So appreciate it. Anyone else wish to speak this time?
Hi, everybody. My name is Catherine Albright, and I've lived in Sonoma about 7 years. I am a local artist. I'm a tech artist. So I bring art pieces to life. I have a few ideas for our plaza. One would be an augmented reality art experience, would be a walk in the plaza itself using augmented reality. And secondly, I have another idea to do a sound walk as well, where you scan in a QR code, and throughout the plaza, you're able to experience the sounds of Sonoma, our heritage, where we're going, future thinking around a soundscape. So I don't have anything formal to present to you, but I just wanted to make myself available to you, let you know that I'm in the community and thinking future forward about the direction of art and immersive art in our community. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Catherine. Anyone else? So we will move on to 3.0, the consent calendar. All items listed on the consent calendar are considered to be routine and will be acted upon by a single motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless members of the commission or the staff request specific items to be removed for separate action. Ask any public comment on the agenda. Could we get a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Commissioner Momsen,
Here. Yes.
Commissioner Emerson,
Yes.
Commissioner Reiners,
Yes.
Commissioner Van Wagner,
Present.
Vice Chair Knudsen,
Yes.
Chair Schlelein.
Yes.
Thank you. The motion carries unanimously.
Thank you. Now we are at 4.0 on the regular calendar of the Cultural and Fine Arts Commission. And this is something we always look forward to, the treasure artist selection and ad hoc formation. It is not an easy job, and we've done our homework. So we will, with that, turn it over to our new Parks and Recreation Director, Dave Jahns.
Thank you, Madam Chair and Commissioners. Good evening. Nice to see all of you. As Chair Schlelein mentioned, this is always a highlight, I know, of the Fine Arts Commission's work for the year and for the community, and so a very exciting evening for us. What we'll do this evening is talk very quickly about some of the background, talk about your selection process, and then primarily turn it over to all of you to have a discussion. And so ideally this evening we're walking away with our selection for the 2026 treasure artist, and we'll also discuss the process and potentially forming an ad hoc committee to put on the 2026 artist reception. So a little background, and I also will start. I also may defer some of the questions, or will always leave the door open for Sarah Tracy to do some fact checking. This is my first time through the treasure artist experience, so I want to make sure that we don't miss anything as well. So as you all know, the treasure artists are recognized as artists in Sonoma based on their artistic contributions to our community. So this has been in place for many years. It's based on creative contributions, visual arts, performing arts, musical arts, all various different mediums. Over the years, we've had tremendous individuals recognized, and this year's nominees are no short of that. We have 6 fantastic nominees for you to consider this evening. We received 44 nominations in total. This is a program that was created and is managed by you all as the Fine Arts Commission, so you have the ability to select that on an annual basis, and that's where we are this evening. For several of you, I know this is been through this many times before, but we also have new commissioners, or this may be only your second time through. So with the selection of the artists, not only do we recognize them here this evening and throughout 2026, but some of the areas that we highlight their recognition in the community is we have an annual treasure artist reception. This typically takes place in the springtime, and at the end of your selection tonight, we'll be looking for an ad hoc committee to help plan and implement that reception. Additionally, the treasure artist is typically welcomed, or we invite them to take place in the 4th of July parade. You'll see some images of past performers in front of you. And then finally, if you look around the room, a new tradition that's been added in is we invite the artists to highlight their work as part of an exhibition here in the City Council chambers for a set period of time. So you can see the artwork that was here, and I know several of you had the opportunity to join us as we celebrated Margaret's reception just a few weeks back. So with that, I'm going over a few of the nominations and what the process looks like this evening. So we annually do a call for nominations. The nomination period opened on September 9th. It was open for about a month and a half. We closed that period on October 31st. As I mentioned, we have received 44 individual nominations, nominating 6 different individuals in our community, and those names are in front of you on the screen, and hopefully you all had a chance to review those nominations and look over those names within your agenda packets. We've also included an optional scoring rubric that hopefully aided you in your selections. We'll put this on the screen as part of the packet so folks in the audience and at home know what that rubric looks like. Again, that's an optional tool. You are welcome to rank their merit based on how you like, but this was a tool that the ad hocs had recommended in previous years. Once we make our selection this evening, we will turn the next portion of that item is to selecting an ad hoc committee to help put on that artist reception that I mentioned. Typically that is in the springtime, gives us an opportunity to honor the treasure artists. They're also presented with a key to the city. We've allocated a budget of $2,500 to help with the implementation of that reception. And as I mentioned before, we typically have an ad hoc, so if the commission so chooses, we'll select that tonight. Typically, we like to start planning that early on in 2026 to give ourselves plenty of time to get everything in order and make sure that we have all of our planning tools in place. And so this evening, our 2 items that we're looking for is to select the 2026 artist and form that ad hoc committee. With that, I'll take a moment to pause. I'll look to my colleagues to make sure I didn't miss anything, and then also open it up to the commission to ask any questions before I turn it over to you for deliberations.
Sarah, any extra thoughts?
I don't know, I think you did pretty good. You all obviously have been through this before. I will also just note, because I'm the one who receives a lot of the nominations and the website and whatnot. So 2 years ago, we implemented an online process for this, and it really has helped make the contributions more consistent. The nominations are more consistent and more easily able to be digested, but we did accept, of course, anything in writing and also via email. However, those are a little bit more challenging because sometimes if they're not as complete, it's harder because you might miss a piece or two. So there was some back and forth, and you probably saw that. So there were a few that were submitted, and I requested more information, but it wasn't available or they didn't get back to me in time. And so there were no additional artists that were left off of the list, but where there were some additional communications or supportive nominations that were not included because they were not part of the complete nomination form.
I think we're really excited to get this level of enthusiasm, and over the years that I've been on the commission, it's grown and grown, the discussions and the questions that I get when I'm out in the community about it. People are thinking, people know we have a wealth of artists and creatives in this community, and many, many, many people do amazing things here and deserve this. So it's getting exciting to see it. We obviously can constantly be refining the process. And as we go through it, we learn more and more. So Go ahead.
I have a question. Were these already pre-vetted if they lived within the boundaries?
I did, I did do outreach and as much verification as I could. There, particularly, I'm presuming the first one on the list, I definitely wanted to make sure that she was residing here, and she is. And then I also gave the opportunity, I reached out as best I could to contacts. Some had contacts for artists, some did not. Giving them people an option to opt out of the honor. Mostly, sometimes people's schedules or for other reasons they may not feel that they can participate as a treasure artist. So there was one artist who declined, who is not included in the list. But the others had the opportunity, and I did not hear that they did not want to be a part of it. So that is the process by which we went through.
So typically we start, but we don't have to start, with our top 3 that scored the highest. Just to start the discussion. That doesn't mean that we're eliminating anyone, but in order to move it along in years past, that has been one way we have sorted things out. I know each of these nominees, after reading the letters, is incredibly deserving, and I think we'd be proud to have any of them as our treasure artist. But as we're scoring it, we are looking at community service as a piece of it, and what your definition of community starts to come up tonight. It'll be a discussion item, I'm sure, as well as excellence in the arts. In years past, we've not had as many materials to look through. We've had to rely on what we knew about their artwork, but now we have websites and we have all kinds of links, and so we can do our digging to see the quality of the work and listen to them. 5 of the nominees are musicians, and so and we have one musician on our commission. So he often guides us in this. So does anyone want to start the discussion? Do you want, commissioners, would you like to start with the rubric and the scoring?
I'll just start and say someone that stood out to me, and so we can just get it going. Jahns stood out to me. He's been nominated in the past multiple times. He had a good number of the nominations. I felt not only his work scored highly, but his contribution to the community was for me one of the highest of the treasure artist nominations.
Thank you. Others?
I remember in the previous year where Ada was nominated, we had a big discussion, and I think we all found her work to be incredibly very talented. And I believe what was in the way is that she was not a resident of the area, and so we didn't consider her for that reason. But I just do remember the conversations, although maybe with different board members at that time, but was highly qualified. And in saying that, I felt like all of these artists were very qualified. A lot of musicians, so that was very, very different than what we've had in the past. I don't know a year that we've had that many musicians, but yeah, I just trying to reiterate some past discussions that we've had.
Thank you. Others?
I'll say Ada scored high for me. John, I believe Tom had the highest amount of nominations by quite a bit, which that immediately obviously stood out to me a little bit more, but all of them seemed very qualified too, so that was hard.
So right now, to summarize, I'm hearing John, Ada, and Tommy coming up. Others?
I will say Rodman started Music in Place, which has really impacted the community highly. I don't, does he have his own art, or is he just helping others with their art? That's one of my questions. And does that matter to us?
I think it's an excellent question. Doesn't matter when you're talking about excellence in the arts. We have had a variety of people, teachers, arts teachers, people, curators, people that have their own fields. However, he was with San Francisco Symphony as a percussionist and is a highly accomplished musician.
And to that point, the significant contribution to the Sonoma Valley as a piece from the rubric should come into play there. It doesn't necessarily need to be personal achievement. It's really about the community at large. So that's a good little piece of scoring, I guess, from that side.
My top three are covered, but one of my questions as I looked through all of the information was artistic achievement and community service, and how those two actually either work together or against one another when it comes to levels of commitment to craft, and big questions in my mind there.
Okay, I'll throw my 2 cents in. As a musician, you might think I'd be biased and maybe leaning towards the musicians that are on the list. However, I think Ada is like the definition of a local treasure. I attended the ceremony where we dedicated a bench to her outside the bookstore, and that was one of the first times I was introduced to her. Lovely woman, has several published books, a plethora of articles have been published in some very high-level magazines. I recently read that she was one of 12 of Time Magazine's Women of the Year in 2024, and I think that as a poet laureate, we need to respect that and honor her as a part of our community. I mean, she grew up here, so she is a local, and I guess she recently moved back. I don't know if she was living in New York or Kentucky or somewhere, but so she's back in town, and I think it would be a wonderful thing to award her with this year's treasure.
I love to be the maybe unpopular voice in the room. I will say, obviously, very clear, her work is renowned, world-renowned, country-renowned, but for me, that question Robin said earlier is how we balance that with the community impact. And sure, she was born and raised here and she lives here again. Is she bringing something to the community and touching more of the community with her, other than just with her work, but bringing other poets here, teaching youth about poetry, hosting events about poetry? A lot of the musicians, while also exceptional artists, are bringing something for everyone. So I don't want to get lost in the star eyes of Poet Laureate. Obviously, I think she's an incredible artist. I just think we have these other categories of contribution and excellence in the community for a reason.
This reminds me of aesthetic discussions about artwork. They're not easy, but they're great conversations and very important to have, because it shows what you value and what's really important and defining excellence. So for me, I disagree. I think Ada has won every major award in the U.S. and internationally as well. I'm not a poet. I can't really judge poetry, so thank goodness someone else has. But I don't believe we've had a poet as one of our artists. She has, after being at that bench dedication, I became a huge fangirl because teachers from the high school got up and spoke about Ada in their class, and Ada coming in to work with their high school students when she would come back to town. She always makes room on her book tours, her national and international book tours, to come to Sonoma for a reading. She advocates literacy and poetry for youth all over the country. I started to look at all of the kinds of things she does. She isn't here a lot, and so that does disadvantage her. It is a question of a big pond versus a small pond, and it really creates a dichotomy, I think, for us as a commission, because how do you I have advocated before doing two because it's just really hard. I never have won that argument, but we have two people that are highly awarded that have risen through the ranks. Tommy Thompson has been given major music awards and done a lot. He's also in a big pond and a small pond. He splits his time between Texas and Sonoma. So there's a lot of similarities, and both of them are hometown kids that we can be incredibly proud of and are. And both are super deserving. So it's a very, I have to admit, I saw Ada's name come through and I thought, oh, this is going to be easy. And then I started to read the other nominations, and I spent all day reading and thinking and agonizing, because every one of these people deserves it. And so I have to say, Ada is my choice.
And thank you for the more information. I was looking for it on the nominations.
One thing that stood out for me on Ada's nomination also was one of the nominators is a past chair of this commission and someone I highly respect and worked with for several years. That kind of helped me see through her lens as well.
I still think there could be two, right? That was my question when I got to this point.
What do you think?
I would vote for Ada. I would also vote for Ada rather than two.
I think it's a difficult decision every year, but it's a one award.
I have to say I was stunned reading through Tommy Thompson's. I know John Arntz, and he creates a community living room. His encouragement for people that are very shy to get on stage and transform is absolutely heartwarming. And he does it with the mission of giving confidence and empowering. But when I started to read Tommy Thompson's, I was like, wow, this man is incredible. And I think he's been nominated one time before. If we didn't pick any of these people, I hope they keep bringing these nominations back, because these people are so deserving, and we're going to have to pick one tonight.
As a guitar player, I was very pleased to see Tommy on the list. Just great picker.
Mark Dennis also deserves some respect and some discussion because he created Vox Populi and has, it got smaller during the pandemic, but it's a force, a community choir, and has been so generous and supported everywhere. So I think that, and Rod Marymore, he's an inclusive collaborator, a network of creativity thriving on cooperation. What Rod has done is a little like what Victor has done, where he's blasted off. You know, the legacy part, that legacy in our rubric of service, well, Tommy Thompson fits that. He has a long legacy here of service. Rodman, not so much, but he was the rocket ship that just stunned everybody in town.
Yeah, I think as a community, we're really blessed to have talent like this living amongst us. But, you know, we have to select one, and my vote would be for Ada.
Is anyone ready to make a motion?
Point
Oh,
of-
excuse me,
point of,
we need public comment?
Yeah, I didn't know.
No public comment. I think we're ready for a motion, possibly.
Am I making the motion to choose the treasure artist? Okay. I'll make a motion to have Ada Limon be selected as the Sonoma treasure artist for 2026.
Second.
Could we have roll call?
Commissioner Emerson,
Yes.
Commissioner Momsen,
Yes.
Commissioner Reiners,
Yes.
Commissioner Van Wagner,
Yes.
Commissioner Smull,
Yes.
Vice Chair Knudsen,
Yes.
Chair Schlelein.
Yes,
Thank you. The motion carries unanimously.
thank you. I thought we'd be here all night.
I would say that although the vote went fairly quickly, it was not an easy decision. I know we all spent a lot of time reading through these very heartfelt and well thought out nominations, and it's a testament to our community too that really supports these artists.
And to reiterate what Connie said, I hope everyone who didn't win this year continues to be nominated in the future.
And the nominators deserve a lot of credit. It's a lot of work, and you could tell from their writing. I have 5 pages of notes that I took from their quotes. Just, it's so inspiring. If you haven't read the packet and it's available publicly, you should read about them. We are so blessed here. Thank you.
Well, thank you, commissioners, and I know not staff's role to weigh in on the decision, but I know not an easy one, and I just want to echo your sentiments. I thank all of the nominators and the nominees. This is a truly special tradition that happens here in Sonoma, and it's not possible without people writing in and supporting and celebrating the wonderful individuals we have here in Sonoma. So thank you to everyone who took part in this process, and to the commission. I know not an easy decision, so thank you for taking the time, and I know you have 6 wonderful individuals to select from this evening. So with the selection, we'd like to move on to the second piece of this item, and that's to discuss the treasure artist reception. So if the commission is so willing, we're looking to form an ad hoc committee, ideally people that would like to participate in the planning and the delivery of that treasure artist reception to recognize Ada this coming spring.
Thank you. Commissioners want to volunteer? I am throwing my hat in the ring on that one because I wasn't connected last year and felt like I was out of the loop. So if you would consider me, I mean, I don't have to be, I want to make sure, but I don't like being out of the loop.
I'm happy to volunteer as long as someone else is with me to help me along the way.
I'd like to volunteer as well. I'd like to. It's same thing. It was just I was kind of out of the loop last year. I've been working my tail off. Obviously, it was rudely late, and thanks for all making it here ahead of me. But I'd love to help, so whatever I can do.
So we can have up to 3 members.
I did it last year, so I'm happy for you 3 to do it, but just keep me in the loop somehow.
Yeah, and I will share for the commissioners that are stepping into this role for the first time, staff's here to help support as well. So we'll make sure that it'll be a new process for all of us. So it'll be fantastic.
And
Thank
we
you.
will need a motion and a second for that.
Thank you. I was just going to do that. We don't need a public comment for ad hoc. Okay, thanks. Could we have a motion to accept the ad hoc nominees?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Commissioner Emerson?
Yes.
Commissioner Momsen?
Yes.
Commissioner Reiners?
Yes.
Commissioner Van Wagner?
Yes.
Commissioner Smull?
Yes.
Vice Chair Knudsen?
Yes.
Chair Schlelein?
Yes,
Thank you. The motion carries unanimously.
thank you. 4.2 is up next, and that is our temporary art proposal. And I say that in that way because we have not had temporary art in our public art policy ever, and our new public art policy has it now. So we're very excited about this, and I would like our Parks and Rec Director, Dave Jahns, to take it from here.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And as you mentioned, this is another exciting item, I think, in front of you. This is, not the first public art display that we've had here in Sonoma, but this will be the first proposal coming through the new framework, which started here with this commission and was adopted by City Council. So a little bit of background information, and I'll also be turning the floor over to Linda Keaton with Sonoma Valley Museum and Museum of Art in just a moment, but a little background information. So as I mentioned, in December of 2024, City Council adopted the Public Art Policy and Procedures, which again started and was vetted right here with the Cultural Fine Arts Commission. This provides us with a framework to display public art on city property, both in a public and a temporary fashion. Intent is to obviously promote and have more art in our community, but to support artists, enhance the quality of life for both people living here and those visiting. And ideally, it's a streamlined process, so it makes it hopefully a pretty clear process for anyone that would like to bring forward an art proposal. We're grateful as a city organization, as a community, when individuals or organizations want to come forward with proposals to display their art, especially like this one that's a collaborative approach. And so hopefully makes it a very clean process. And so in October of this year, we received our first proposal under this umbrella, and we wanted to, while you'll see and probably saw in there's a few details that still need to be determined, that if the commission is supportive, city staff would continue to work with the applicant on, but we wanted to make sure that in staying true to the notion of this being a streamlined process, get this in front of you all as a commission as soon as possible to give feedback to the applicant, to staff, so that we can continue to move this forward quickly. I won't touch upon all of these. These are your role as the commissioners as it relates to the public art policy, and I've placed in bold the ones that I think are specific to this specific proposal. So we're looking for you all as a commission to make recommendations to staff and to council on the acceptance of public art, both in a permanent and temporary fashion. This one is a temporary proposal. Make recommendations on those proposals, helping with design and the delivery and the placement of those art proposals, and then providing recommendations and regular reports to City Council on the success of this program. It's something that we see as being fluid. We know that it's new and that it's bound to have changes, and so you all as a commission are ones that represent the community, and so we're looking for you to continue to give us as staff and City Council recommendations on how we can continue to improve our public art policy. So very briefly, I'm going to give a high-level overview, and then I'm going to turn it over to Linda because I know she will know the proposal much better than I do. But as I mentioned, we received this proposal on October 17th. It's titled Eye to Eyes, and it's a partnership amongst a few different organizations, but the lead photographer, the artist behind it, is Jock McDonald. It is a visual art proposal, so it involves projection, and right now being proposed onto Sonoma City Hall in the plaza. The installation period is until the summer of 2027, which Linda will be able to provide more information, but there's lots of work that goes into creating this installation, including capturing photographs of individuals, curating the designs, and so that is a piece of why it was important to get in front of you all and get your feedback early on in the process, so that the applicant can keep moving forward if there's the support there. The support from city staff that's being requested is fairly minimal. Looking for support through staff time to move it through the process, and also to provide physical space on the plaza, so helping with electrical setup, providing parking and a dedicated projection space, but all of the funding and the direct time to implement the proposal is coming by way of the applicant and the artist. And with that, I'm going to welcome, if she's willing to join us, Linda Keaton, who is the Executive Director and Chief Curator for the Sonoma Valley Museum of Art, to turn it over to her, and she's put together a few slides to share in more detail about the proposal.
Thank you. And thank you for the opportunity to present this project to you. And I also want to take this opportunity to thank you for the significant work that this commission has been doing the last few years. Your work is seen and it is much appreciated, and thank you for advancing the arts and culture in our community. We're grateful. To introduce this project, I have a few slides here. It is a Sonoma community-centered public art project, and it is ongoing, but we're asking for a public art partnership for the summer of 2027. It's a collaboration between the photographer Jock McDonald, KHR McNeely Family Fund, Family Foundation, and SVMA. Okay, next slide. The project began many, many months ago, but formally Jock started photographing, taking his portraits in the plaza on the 4th of July. So he intends to work all year. He has been working at multiple locations throughout the community all year, and he hopes to get his 1,000 portraits, that is his goal, by next summer, July of 2026. The goals of this project are for Jock to capture 1,000 portraits and create a portrait of Sonoma County through its people. And this is a broad cross-section of people, and that's something that we believe strongly with. We have talked about how to achieve that, but it is very important to all of us to get a cross-section of our community. We hope that this project will, when it's seen by our community, affirm our common humanity. We hope that it will engage the public in a public art project, and it is ongoing. And also, there are many student learning opportunities, which again, we know needs to be a strong part of this project. There is an exhibition planned at SVMA for the summer of 2027, and it is a complex project. There are many aspects to this, and this is why it's taking a couple of years to put this project together. There will be a traditional photography, portrait component to the exhibition that's at the museum, so framed portraits will be on the wall. There also will be a multimedia installation, and that will be a projection of the 1,000 portraits. We also have been discussing the possibility of having a photo booth so that people could take their own photos while they're visiting, and then those portraits would be uploaded into the installation. We found a couple of folks that can do that for us, and again, I hope that will be part of the exhibition. There is a book being published about the project, and we are asking for a possible public art partnership with the city. Next slide. So some images of Jock at work. He has a van outfitted as a mobile photography unit, and it also has a printer in the van. He has 2 university students from Sonoma State helping him as interns, and I love hearing from them. They really love this project, and we hope that he will be engaging other additional folks as well, other students. Jock takes his photograph and Then he immediately prints 2 prints of the photograph. One is given to the person who he's just photographed. Here's your gift. You get a professional portrait. And the second one becomes part of the exhibition public art project, in that the person is asked to write something about Sonoma, about their life, something personal, something maybe a little revealing on the photograph. And so that text is also part of the project. Okay, next slide. Jock has in the past done projections of his work on buildings. He's done quite a few of these, and here's some images of previous projects. He came to me with a similar project a couple of years ago, and I did not have the vision that he has, and I kept saying, but City Hall, it's bumpy, there are windows there, how exactly is this going to work? Well, if you look at the bottom right photo image there, that's San Francisco City Hall, so that's how it works. It works beautifully. And then another private building that he has projected on, and then the upper 2 are the DeRosa in Napa that he has projected his projects on. So to do the projections in the past, just the process that he's used is to he's used a pickup, and he drives the pickup up, and he's got projectors in the back and a generator, and then he runs the projectors from that. So it's pretty straightforward. I think he would want to plug into the energy source that's on the plaza. We would need some space for him to park and do his setup. I think the demands would be staff time. We hope that maybe there'll be some consideration of waiving permit fees, because I know there'll be permit fees, but we can talk about that down the road. Okay, so I think, is there one more slide? Yeah, so here's what we're asking. We're asking you and the commission and the city to consider a public art partnership for that projection. This would be a projection of the Eye to Eyes project on Sonoma City Hall in the plaza in the summer of 2027. Exact times and dates that would have to be negotiated. We'd want it to coincide with the exhibition, but we'd have to think about when it gets dark, and other considerations might be the farmer's market, et cetera. But I think all those things can be discussed and worked through. The expenses would be staff time and electrical setup. We would manage the project the museum would manage the project along with the city staff, and we would provide, the museum and Jock would provide the projection setup, pending approval of the commission and the city council. And the city of Sonoma would be acknowledged on all of our public relations and marketing, digital and print material, and verbally at the openings and at all programs. And we do intend to program this project robustly, so there would be quite a bit of mention and gratitude for partnership. I think that's my last slide. If you have any questions, I'd be happy. I don't know that I can answer them, but I'll give it a shot.
I'm just curious if this project has been done in other communities, if it's very specific for Sonoma, or if it would be duplicated after.
That's a great question, because the plan is to duplicate it after in other communities. He wants to, Jock and the McNeelys have requested traveling this to other venues, and I said, but it's so Sonoma-centric, how are you going to do that? And they think that when they travel it elsewhere, that they would use the Sonoma photos, plus add some in that were local to wherever the project was going to be. And I should mention, kind of an important point, he does get photo releases from everybody that he photographs. We sent a template we consulted with the museum's attorney, and he developed one release for adults and another release for children. So we are pretty well covered with that.
Yeah, a couple comments.
exciting to see this, so thank you for bringing it today. With the projection mapping, would he map the City Hall building? Because all of the projections look like they're either square or rectangle, but I think it's also a good opportunity to map the building and do something a little more unique out of the box frame to get City Hall mapped. That would just be a recommendation.
I agree.
And then
yeah.
also with the projector in the truck, you could always just do a shipping container, because if he's going to be doing it night after night, then you could just store it on site, and then you could
That's a
wrap
great
the
suggestion.
container with the photos or larger photos for constant advertising.
Thank you. Those are
But
great
I think
suggestions.
there's a lot of opportunity with this, so, yeah.
Thanks, Meredith.
We are obviously very grateful to the museum for the 5 installations on the plaza that have really put us on the map. And in this day and age where money is tight for doing artwork, and I know nonprofits are really challenged, I think this is a brilliant idea. And we've actually been coveting the Napa Lighted Arts Festival, and we've talked about projections in the past. So this seems like a perfect on-ramp for looking at different ways to bring art to the community and include different themes and different thoughts and make it personal. But our plaza certainly is our heart, and so it's logical to do this. But it seems like a very practical and easily accessible art form for people to get involved with.
Thank you.
So, any other questions,
Yeah,
Commissioners?
I'm just curious, how does the photographer select his subjects? Is there a theme? Is it random, or?
He has a
that
sign out
work?
in front
Yeah.
and says, "Come on in."
Oh,
And
so it's an invitation.
yeah, it's whomever wants to be photographed is welcome to come in. He is selecting sites throughout the county, so again, so that he can get that cross section that he's looking for. I know I was out there with him on the plaza on the 4th of July, and he had a lineup of people who wanted to participate. Something fun happening, they get their picture taken, they get to walk away with a picture too. And a lot of the folks, and you can see some of these images that people are dressed up as though it's 4th of July, because it is, and they were really into the project. And then knowing that their portrait was going to become part of a museum exhibition, I think was kind of exciting to folks too.
Would there be a plan in the future to rotate the photographs, or the portraits, or would they be permanent?
We have talked about whether, we just start off with 1,000 photographs in a video projection, or, how exactly that would work. I think his intent for the projection on City Hall is to just show a loop of the 1,000 photographs, so that they're all. He's telling people you will be in for sure. You will be in this exhibition, and I think that goes for the public art project too. If people are photographed and they want to be part of the exhibition, then they should be part of the public art installation as well.
Do any of the locations involve the Springs or El Verano?
Yeah, he has some. He has plan. I don't know if he's been there yet, but he does have plans. Definitely, we've talked about that's essential. He's been at the community center, and I'm not sure where else he's been. I know that he has plans to include the Springs, and he's been at the high school as well. But I'm not sure exactly what his plans are, what his schedule is. There is a Eye to Eyes website, and he has his schedule posted on there. And I should mention that this Saturday is SVMA's Family Day, just before the tree lighting, and Jock will be there with his mobile unit, and so he wants to to photograph people walking past that are going to be going to the plaza, and also the people that will be participating. And he wanted me to invite all of you on Saturday as well. He would love to have all of you participate in the project as well. So he'll be there from 11 to 3. So we'd love that. But yes, Morgan, it is essential to photograph in the Springs.
And in that case, will he have a translator, or is he bilingual? And will the release forms be available also in Spanish?
The release forms are already available in Spanish. I don't know if he will have a translator, but I can mention that to him.
Thank you.
As you know, there's some reticence with our community, and this has been brought up with the funders and with Jock and with all of us talking about this project. So we're talking with La Luz and some other folks in the Springs to try to include our immigrant community. We're working on it. Ultimately, that's a little bit out of our hands. I mean, we can work on that. He does have some plans, and he has talked to some farmers to come on and on their land and offer this opportunity for farm laborers as well. So I know we're working on that.
Great, thank you. I'm excited. I always like, oh my God, I see that guy all the time.
He's got a big personality, and he's hard to miss if he's out and about.
I think that this is an example for people watching online and people in the audience to think about. This is our first use of our toolbox of our public art policy. And people that have ideas can submit those ideas this way. The museum is the first one through the door with a very interesting idea to bring to us. What's really enticing is that we have a very small budget, and so bringing funding with it is super helpful because the staff, city staff, is stretched to the limits, and the funds need to be fairly smartly used. But hopefully in the future we'll be working on grants and other funding possibilities. So thank you, and other discussions.
Chair Schlelein, I just want to make sure that we take a moment to open up for public comment, and then we can talk
Absolutely.
about next steps.
Yes. Does anyone want to comment on this exciting idea? Thank you. Appreciate it. So do we need to look at possibly a motion in this case?
So you have a couple options in front of you, since we wanted to, as Linda mentioned, there's a few details that we still need to sort out. So we'd be looking for, essentially, if there's enough support from the commission tonight for conditional approval for us to move this forward. If there's some pending questions that the commission would like us to bring back at your next meeting, we can certainly do that, or you can give direction to staff to continue moving forward the process to work out the details and move this forward to City Council. So I'll leave that open to you if you're ready to make that recommendation or would like further information.
I did have a question because I heard a big part of the ask was for staff's time. And given how busy you all are, I'm curious as to your thoughts on that, to make sure that it is a robust program and gets the attention that it needs. What are your general thoughts? And if you're not prepared to answer that now, that's okay, but I'm very curious of that.
Yeah, thank you, Commissioner Emerson. It's a great question, and I think part of that is the ongoing discussion is, at this point, staff doesn't know what the overall lift will look like. In our initial terms, it seems like it's fairly straightforward as far as getting approvals in place and then providing access to the space. It'll come down to timing, as Linda mentioned. We'll have, in the summer months, we have other events going on, so it's whether it can happen in coordination with those events or has to happen on offset evenings outside of, say, the Tuesday markets, for example. And so in brief discussions with staff, this seems like this would be a doable ask on our end, and I think we're supportive of art proposals coming forward. This is a new part of the Parks and Recreation Department, is to support public art, and so we want to make sure that's part of how we're carving out our time. But I do appreciate the ask and that you being aware of our time as well.
So commissioners, do you want to discuss whether we want to make a motion to accept? Are we ready to do that?
I think so. I think it's an exciting proposal. It's not requesting any public art funds. And I'd love to see this art in the plaza. I'd love to see it during winter months, actually, to get more people out there. I know it's coinciding with the show, but I think it's a good opportunity with projection when it gets darker earlier, too.
I was just going to say, I think the human element is really great, and it's tied to the community so well. It seems like a really great first project for us.
So does anyone have a motion?
I move that the commission accept this public arts program and support it and for further consideration by the staff.
Second?
Roll call.
Commissioner Emerson,
Yes.
Commissioner Momsen,
Yes.
Commissioner Reiners,
Yes.
Commissioner Van Wagner,
Yes.
Commissioner Smull,
Yes.
Vice Chair Knudsen,
Yes.
Chair Schlelein.
Yes.
Thank you. The motion carries unanimously.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, commissioners, and I will just point out we'll continue to work with Linda and the museum, and if there's anything that changes major in structure from what was presented tonight, regardless, we'll provide an update to you at your next meeting, but if there's anything major that changes, we'll bring the item back to you.
So next on the agenda is to work on our calendar, and that should be fairly quickly figured out here. Monique has done a beautiful job of organizing us. So the next proposed agenda meeting is February 10th, March 31st, April 7th, June 9th, August 11th, October 6th, and December 8th. How does that suit everyone?
Can I ask how these dates were selected?
I'll give a little bit of, because you'll probably see a few more dates than which is previously on your calendars, and so we talked to staff, and we've added some additional dates in instead of just meeting on the quarterly basis, and so we don't want to overburden you all as commissioners, but knowing that we have some fairly large initiatives, took an every other month approach, knowing that if we don't have items coming forward, or if there is work happening in the ad hocs, almost any of these could be canceled or postponed, depending on where you are with your work. Because this facility is so heavily impacted with other meetings, we want to make sure that we reserve that time for you all if there are meetings that need to be had. And so that's why it's moved to every other instead of quarterly. And I'll also point out the March 31st date that's in close relation to April 7th. That will be part of our next agenda item, but that was to reserve a space to have the Student Creative Artist Award interviews all in one day, and then come back the following week to make the selections. That was based on feedback we received from the commission and the ad hoc committee to make sure that we could have the interviews in one day and then also have some time in between those interviews and making that selection. So that's why there's two dates right next to each other. The other dates were selected on an every other month basis and also based on room availability, but we want to make sure you all have a chance to look at your calendars and weigh in as well.
The one missing piece is the treasure artist reception, but we won't know it until we talk with her, which, by the way, maybe at the end of the meeting, we could call and tell her.
Did we avoid Tuesdays in the summer for Lauren, who's not here anymore, or didn't we used to not, like the June 9th and the August 11th?
So there is an issue with calendaring between Transcendence, and then also we have a number of other entities using this facility for meetings. So we did try to avoid Tuesdays because it coincided with Tuesday night market, and some I think commissioners, you were right, Lauren, I believe, actually used to participate in the market as a vendor. So that was one reason we were not doing that. However, she's not on the commission anymore, and also I think there were very few other options is what we were finding. But again, this was kind of the conversation of we are potentially getting more public art proposals, which will be more time sensitive and may need consideration on a more regular basis. So there's always a possibility one of those Tuesdays won't be, but they would be during farmers market. Sorry.
I'm not against it. I just wanted to make sure she was the only commissioner that would have had to miss out.
Thank you. Other discussion?
Yeah, so when I'm looking at this, I'm noticing the student artist, the Student Creative Artist Award, that's much sooner than what we've done in the past. And so I'm just curious, and maybe the committee could speak to that. Did we speak with the high school arts program to know if this works better or if this is going to be problematic to get students to submit something this early in the year? I know that they work on their portfolios and things like that. That's been a discussion in the past, so I don't want to step on the
So I will just
the committee.
insert, because I did, that's the last couple of years we have done some work, and we are going to talk a little bit about the Student Creative Artist Award. I did reach out this past year, and actually it does seem early, but actually it's only about a week difference from last year's deadline. So this is before spring break, which is a consideration. I think we did look at, like, could we even move it even closer, but that was a little bit tricky necessarily having you all come in for 2 days within 3 days apart. So I was told, and when I looked back at when things were submitted, I did not see a big difference between before and after spring break. And then when I did reach out, everybody agreed that the timing seemed to work well. Moving it farther into April and May was less desirable because now the end of the school year keeps encroaching to May. So it was competing. If we wait any longer, it's competing with their other shows. So I think even last year we had a couple of artists who had work that they couldn't submit because it was in another place. So it is always a little bit of a juggling game. Deb, you're not wrong. This is something that has come up before. But I did reach out, and they said it was pretty much in line. The only difference is, yes, the deadline to submit their artwork would be a little bit earlier, but it's not. They didn't think it would be too much different.
And then the other observation is, by the looks of this, we would likely do the treasure artist on December 8th. Is that a correct assumption?
If we go by what we've done in the past, yes. Although I was looking even in past years, I think you've even done it in January sometimes. So.
Any other discussion? We need public comment on the calendar, if anybody wants to comment on our calendar. So could we have a motion?
Sorry, before we vote on this, I did just want to make the point, I believe, I try to come to every meeting, and I don't think I ever missed one, but I do believe the new commission rules on it that you can't miss more than 2, is it? It's something fairly strict to be able to stay on the commission. So I just want to make sure all the commissioners are aware of the responsibilities before we vote on this and that we're committing to these dates.
I believe it's 2 in a row, if I'm correct, but it's actually 3 in the year.
Thank you for pointing that out. Okay, now back to motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the 2026 meeting calendar.
Do I have a second?
I second that.
Roll call.
Commissioner Emerson,
Yes.
Commissioner Momsen,
Yes.
Commissioner Reiners,
Yes.
Commissioner Van Wagner,
Yes.
Commissioner Smull,
Yes.
Vice Chair Knudsen,
Yes.
Chair Schlelein.
Yes,
Thank you. The motion carries unanimously.
thank you. Moving on to 4.4, Student Creative Artist Award Program Update and Possible Ad-Hoc Formation. Dave Jahns will be helping us with this.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and I will tee things up, but probably be passing the baton. Oh, I think you left a bag behind.
Hold on, I think you forgot something.
Good catch. So as Sarah's making her way back in, I'll tee up the item and then she can come back in and provide more context. So the intent of this item tonight is to talk about the framework of the Student Creative Artist Award, and part of that was due to, we want to make sure we spoke about this evening, because as you saw with the meeting calendar, with our first meeting not being until February, we want to make sure that we lay the groundwork this evening, especially if there's an interest in Ad Hoc to do work between now and then, because typically we will launch that application process in mid to late January. So I think many of you are familiar with the program, and now that Sarah's back, she's welcome to chime in, take over. But it's been similar to the creative artist or the treasure artist. It's it's a very important part of the commission's work and a very valued program here in the community. We've seen terrific response, and part of that's why we've adjusted our calendar for the year. So over the years, over 94 students have been recognized. And you can see the dollar amount there in front of you. We formed an ad hoc committee as a commission in 2024, and the intent was to look at the interview process, refining the scoring rubrics, how students can apply to give them more flexibility to apply online, as well as being able to submit multi-medium submissions. That process was further refined in 2025. With updated materials, and I know Sarah can speak to those more, but there's an image there of what that form looked like, and the intent is really just to make it streamlined and as simple as possible for students to submit their artwork. As we look ahead to 2026, there was discussion amongst the ad hoc last year to take a look at maybe it's time to review the rubrics once again, and so similar to what I mentioned with the meeting dates, another topic that came up was to have, last year the interviews were split over 2 different days, and so the intent this year is to try to have all of the interviews held on one date, which may make, I know, for a lengthy meeting, but in talking to staff and feedback from the commission, is that will give you all as commissioners hopefully good context throughout the evening to hear all of the proposals, all of the applications in one sitting, and then we'll give you a break to take it home, think about it, and then bring back your selection at a meeting about a week later. We've also increased the amount of funding to give a total that's increased up to $5,000 to give you all as commissioners more flexibility to support either providing higher value awards or to recognize more students within the community. And so what we're looking for this evening is, if you have direct feedback tonight on the rubrics, we're happy to take that. You have the option in front of you to form an ad hoc to work with us as staff to review and refine those rubrics between now and January. The intent is that we'll launch that process in mid to late January, which would be before your next meeting. And so if there's an interest in looking at those rubrics in more detail, we would ask for an ad hoc to support with that. If the commission is comfortable with where the rubrics and the interview questions and the applications sit, we're fine to take direction and move forward to open up that application process in January. So those are the options in front of you. But with that, I am going to circle back to Ms. Tracy and see if there's anything I have missed or that she would like to add, since she was so integrally involved.
I think you did great. And apologies because I stepped out for just a second, but just wanted to reiterate why this is coming back to you at this point is during the process last year, there were some comments made about specific rubrics that maybe there was some room to refine some or all of them. So this is a continual process that's been happening. The rubrics, just like the treasure artist rubric, are optional. They are not a requirement for selecting a student creative artist, but I know that many of you find them very helpful in making those decisions, as it is very challenging. You think treasure artist is hard. I think that might be more difficult. So this is it's not a requirement to update them, but if there was a desire to update them more extensively in an ad hoc versus receiving comments directly now on the dais, where we can take those down and make the changes and move forward from there. You might not need the ad hoc, but it's an option for you if you all would like to form one to review them again. Also, with the interview questions, I received good feedback from those who gave it, that the questions seemed like they worked a lot better, were much better than the year before. But if there's any desire to look at those over as well and make any changes, that would be an option.
Discussion, rubrics, any part of the process, questions?
I think it worked really well this last year. My only recommendation would be, it'd be interesting to survey the students after the fact, as like if they didn't get it, just a link to get their feedback, because even if it's going well on our end, I want to ensure it's like clear for them on the guidelines. So getting the feedback from them or the teachers, I think, could be good this year.
And I did do that anecdotally. Apologize, I haven't put it into a formal, but I think having an official way would be an excellent tool. So it will definitely heed that. Thank you.
I personally am thrilled to see that we're increasing the funding. It didn't feel like we'd kept up with the times, and we often have more than one student that we would like to help. The process sometimes gets a little awkward with the kids, I think, discussing their work in public. I'd like the committee to look at how we do this process and think about, as a teacher who worries about liability and student concerns, some of the comments were very personal, and I worry on a television station that they might be bullied, or that they might not feel free to share, rather than having it more a closed-door process, just in terms of protecting the kids. I appreciate transparency, but I walked away last year thinking about it a little bit more. Artwork is very honest and very personal often for these kids, and I had some concerns.
Yeah, I hadn't thought about that, but looking back, I could see that being a big point of talking about your art in public, on camera, people could be watching. Another portion I think we may have discussed last year is if an ad hoc or whatnot could go to the schools and talk to the kids about the process, or about speaking about your art and presenting it. Possibly not this year, but the next year. I think that could be a nice add-on to what the commissioner and ad hoc does to start to integrate that.
One thing about the application process, and I think it comes up every year, we seem to meet a student who really has talents in multiple facets, and I'm just not sure that we've made it clear enough on the application, like you can submit in kind of multiple mediums or multiple types of art, and I'm not sure how to make that more clear. I mean, they are students, of course, but I feel like sometimes we've missed out on another aspect of a student because we personally know about something else that they do, or they mention it in their interview, but it wasn't submitted, and I'm just afraid that they may be selling themselves short, and we're missing out an opportunity to really see all that a creative student artist could bring.
Yes, that has been a kind of an ongoing discussion of how best to consider multimedia artists, and not multimedia as in they use multimedia in their singular art form, but that they have many mediums of artwork that they do. Last year, the decision was made to encourage students to do a separate application for each medium, so they would have the opportunity to be considered solely for that versus one application that selects many mediums with examples in that. Because I think the thinking at the time, if I remember correctly, and please do jump in, is that if you're looking at the balance of somebody's artwork, that it was challenging. They may have had one medium that they were very accomplished in, that they only put one piece in because they had multiple mediums that they were doing, and so they didn't necessarily show as well in one medium or another. So that's always something we can go back for, but you're right, I will think about how to make that more obvious on the application.
And we have limitations, right, of how many pieces can be submitted. Perhaps that's something we also consider as a commission, is to open that up a bit more and not be as restrictive.
That's what I was thinking. I would be happy to do an ad hoc, because in visual art you can put 5 pieces, but if you're a writer you get 1, and that just seems inequitable when we get to see 5 paintings or 5 photographs or 5 ceramics, but only 1 written piece or 1 video. So if that's something we're willing to go through when they apply, I would be happy to be on an ad hoc that edits the rubrics.
I would like to have maybe a music person on the ad hoc committee, because I think it would help. We haven't had one, and it's an area that not everyone understands well.
I don't play music.
I was thrilled when Noah was the recipient of the award. One thing I'd like to know, have we received any feedback from any of the kids that have received the award and how they've benefited? And perhaps if we haven't, maybe we could request it so that we could share that with the community, kind of like a success story, or also I think it would be helpful to motivate future kids to submit their artwork if they hear about how their upperclassmen have benefited from being recipients of the award, especially if we're going to increase the amount to $5,000. I mean, there's a lot you can do with that.
I was going to say, Rue Gobet is at Cal Poly San Luis Obispo, and I believe it's a design or a graphic design program. It could be interesting to get sort of artist statements of how it's benefited them on the website to encourage other kids to submit.
Yeah, exactly.
I think having a feedback from students that have been selected already would guide us, which really would be helpful. And maybe we make it a stipulation, they check in with us, 6 months, 9 months down the road. We can't enforce it, but we could request it.
Yeah.
As we request them to come to the 4th of July parade, it would be helpful for us, I think, to make an impact.
And I think they would appreciate the interest too, instead of just cutting them loose and, throw them a kiss and say, good luck, a little follow-up
Great ideas.
might help.
So we're looking for people who would like to serve on the ad hoc. I heard Morgan said yes, and Scott did as well. I don't want to be on every ad hoc, but I'm happy to if no one else wants to.
Unfortunately, I don't really have the bandwidth to take this on for the beginning of the year.
Do we have to have 3 people?
You don't
Yes,
have to have 3, it's up to 3. And just so an idea of what we're looking for, so between now and mid-January, we'd be looking at the application materials and make sure that all makes sense. And then as we continue through the process, is making sure that the ad hoc has an opportunity to fine-tune and review the rubric process.
I would be on the ad hoc if Morgan led it.
That's fine. I don't know. We did a lot last time, so now it's just
Yeah.
like more tinkering and letting an expert check out the music one. So
True.
yeah.
Okay, great. So public comment on this? Are we done with the discussion, commissioners? Public comment? No? So we don't need a motion? We do need a motion.
Yes, we
Because
do.
we formed an ad hoc. So could I have a motion for forming the ad hoc and who would be on it?
So moved.
Second,
I'll second.
roll call.
Commissioner Emerson,
Yes.
Commissioner Momsen,
Yes.
Commissioner Reiners,
Yes.
Commissioner Van Wagner,
Yes.
Commissioner Smull,
Yes.
Vice Chair Knudsen,
Yes.
Chair Schlelein.
Yes,
Thank you. The motion carries unanimously.
thank you. Item 4.6, utility box art wrap, that's hard to say. And
Actually, one item before then, we have 4.5. I know we
Oh, I'm
have got just
so
a couple
sorry.
more, so we have the Olson Park item, and then we'll have
I crossed
the
it
quick
off,
update.
I'm sorry.
It's all right.
Getting anxious to get out, I guess, or something. So, Dave, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, commissioners. And so this is an item that I know you all have not had a chance to look at in any great detail, but I wanted to bring it to your attention and get your feedback as we're moving through the process. So, and this will be, I hope, what is the first of many more, I think, cross-discipline discussions that we have between the Arts Commission and the Parks, Recreation, and Open Space Commission, as I think there's a lot of synergy, and especially the projects that each commission and staff is working on in those areas. But on the park side of things, there's currently a capital improvement project to rehabilitate Olson Park, which I'm sure most of you, if not all of you, are familiar with. But it's a neighborhood park that's located off of Linda Drive and also connects to the bike path. We are getting close to the end of the design process. This has been a project that's been in the works for several years now. The project is primarily funded through general fund dollars, Measure M, and the Quimby Act. The overall budget is in the range of $565,000, and that's everything from design to construction to implementation. There was a community engagement process pretty early on to hear from the community of what elements they wanted to see in this project rehabilitation. There was a survey, there was in-person workshops held at the park, there was an online meeting, and also several discussions have happened at the Parks, Recreation, and Open Space Commission meetings. As part of the conceptual design, a mural space or the discussion of having artwork incorporated into the project was originally considered. It was removed later on in the process, primarily because the overall cost of the project went up, and so to support the specific park infrastructure items, things like irrigation, benches, playground equipment, turf repair, landscaping, the budget, we kind of hit the limit on budget, and so certain optional elements were removed from the conceptual items. And so the mural was not the only one. There was also exercise equipment. You'll see in the conceptual design there's a few other elements that came out as optional due to budget limitations. So as I mentioned, this project is close to being near complete design. We should be finalizing the 90% plan design set with the landscape architecture company that we are consulting with. And the intent is that it will go back to our Parks, Recreation, Open Space Commission for their one final design review at their meeting in December. And so what you're looking at here is the initial conceptual design. There's been a few renditions since. It's more in the detailed layer. This, I think, gives you kind of the best overall picture. This was really at kind of the 30% design level is where this came from. And I know the writing's small on the side, and again, you don't have to look at this in complete detail. I just wanted to give you an overview. A big portion of this project is focused on landscape rehabilitation, irrigation rehabilitation, and some of the play structure. You'll see, if you can see closely on that map, item number 16, it's kind of in your top left-hand corner. That was the area that was initially contemplated for a mural. And what I did is take some pictures of that area so you can see in real time what that area is looking like. The one on the right is from the summertime. The one on the left is from just within the last few days. And so that's the back corner. Again, it wasn't defined. It was this many panels or that many panels. It was in the concept, and so it was removed. But what we're bringing back to you all as a commission is the opportunity to contemplate a recommendation to essentially reinsert that mural concept back into the project. So I've spoken with the landscape architects. It was part of their original design. They're very supportive of it. supportive of it. I know members of the Pros Commission had brought up the art concept early on. So there's the opportunity for us to incorporate this back into design consideration, but with it comes the funding element. And so since the project is currently at budget with the other funding sources, the way to move this forward would be to recommend the use of public art funds to pay for this. And so this fits in with this commission's mission of increasing more public art, but I understand there's lots of opportunities to utilize those funds throughout the community. And so this is simply an option for you to consider. We don't need you to give us formal direction on this tonight. What I'm trying to get from you is if there's interest in pursuing a mural at this location, and then what we as staff would do is put this into the design concept. It would go to the Parks and Recreation Open Space Commission and would actually essentially be part of the park package. It still has to go out for bid. So these costs that we base everything are estimates, and that goes from everything, again, the landscaping, the construction, the demo. When we go out for bid, we'll have a good estimation of where this project actually lands and if we have any budget to play with there. But if not, is it of the interest of the commission to consider using public art funds to support this. These are very preliminary costs, and this is feedback I've gotten from both the consultant we're working with, commissioners I've worked with, but a mural in that space, and not necessarily the entire panel, but could be anywhere from the $8,000 to $12,000 range. And if there is an interest from this commission, what we would seek to do is have this commission be involved in that call for artists, be involved in the selection of that piece as a component, and hopefully we could align it so that it would be part of the park unveiling. We're looking to start construction in spring, summer of this year, and so we'd have to line it up. It wouldn't have to happen exactly when we do the ribbon cutting, definitely wouldn't happen by the time of groundbreaking, but it would be nice to unveil that with part of the park if the commission is interested. I've brought up where we sit with our public art fund balance, and so we ran those numbers with finance, and right now there's $96,000 approximately in that fund balance. $35,000 has been allocated to utilize this year. Doesn't mean we will use $35,000, so that's intended for the utility box project, which is a do not exceed of $15,000, and then additional projects that the commission may consider. And so that $96,000 does not remove any of those dollars from it, but that's the total fund balance. And so essentially we just would like to get your feedback if this is something worth pursuing. If so, what we'll do is we can put that in the design package and bring back more information at your next meeting. If there's a preference to explore other opportunities for art rather than at Olson Park, that's fine as well. We just knew that this project was moving along and we didn't want to miss the opportunity to bring that in front of you. So with that, I know that there may be questions, happy to answer them and give you any feedback of where we are with the Olson Park project.
Deb?
The $8,000 to $12,000 estimated cost, is that primarily for the landscaping and construction, or is that what you anticipate the call to artists that we would actually pay the artist or artists?
Right, and so that's specific to the artwork, so to the artist for the murals. And I will let the commissioners weigh in. I know we have some commissioners who have a lot of experience in that realm. That number can certainly go up or down, and that may impact what we receive as far as the artist. But again, that was a ballpark range based on some similar projects.
Other comments, discussion?
Has there been any sort of stipulation that it would be a local artist, or would we open this up to more? I guess that discussion hasn't happened yet, but it might be a point to kind of discuss amongst us. I think it sounds awesome, though. I think that'd be great.
It sounds like if we wanted to go forward with it, a lot of that would be up to us, the call to artists, choosing the artist.
Yeah, we would have the opportunity, I think, great questions. We'd have the opportunity to define what the scope of this artwork would look like. And so that comes with kind of your role as the commission and also making recommendations of use of the public art fund, is that we'd have a role in defining what the call for artists would look like and the stipulations that we'd be looking for.
I'd like to give just a little background. The Public Art Policy Ad-Hoc Committee, I don't know what the formal name is, was Lauren, Meredith, and myself. And we were very concerned. We have been very concerned about developing tools and that toolbox online, the website. Especially, we've been interested in prioritizing, since Sonoma has really never had public art happening that we have started. We're very concerned about the priorities that are, what are the needs of the community. We've heard many different needs, from shade in the amphitheater and lighting in the amphitheater that could be artistic, to bike trail sculptures, to utility box wraps, etc. Where do we get a lot of bang for the very small amount of money that we have is what we're concerned about. So we started mapping, walking the city, and we did that the other day. Meredith and Dave and I walked the city looking at where possible locations might be for public art. If we were to do an art on loan project, for instance, where we had sculptures that were loaned by sculptors and we rented, or various murals, or what are the needs, because there are many. And having a park development seems like, as we walked, we looked at a number of parks that were prime locations for public art. Depot Park, the amphitheater, the bike path, many bike paths, entryways. And this project happening now is a nice dovetail, I think, to again get our feet wet, get started with learning this process and beginning to bring something forward. And especially because the Pros Commission is working on it, it gives us an opportunity to collaborate, and starting to work with the Parks Commission, I think, is in our benefit, because we can really start to listen to what the public needs are as well. So it seemed like a logical place for us to start, and in a small way, not huge.
I agree. Maybe this is a good question for you guys. Let's say it happens and the mural's there. Who maintains it? And if this is a park, it's gonna get graffitied. It's like, who is that also coming out of the art fund to then repaint it or fix it?
So it would be part of the call that it would have an anti-graffiti coating on it that lasts maybe 8 years depending. It's pretty easy to wipe off, and then it would just be on the calendar for them to be, it would be taken out of the public art budget, to my knowledge, as the anti-graffiti coating if ever reapplied, but it's not too expensive, maybe $500, $1,000.
But any damage would come out of the public art fund.
Yeah, because it'd be a permanent art piece to be done.
And that's, I think, great questions, and I think important for us to look at as we're looking at our overall operations and parks maintenance and longevity of artwork. That's not something that's necessarily in tune with our operational standards, but something that we'd like to incorporate. And so as we look, hopefully, to, if this is maybe the first of many art pieces to come, is making that just a regular part of our staff, that they're obviously monitoring for it. We do have a response protocol to graffiti, but knowing it's very different when dealing with a professional art piece than it is when you see graffiti on a fence. So I thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah, and not just graffiti, like soccer balls are gonna get kicked at that. It's just like, it's a wall at a park, it's gonna get some wear and tear.
There is, could we go back to that, the site map? There were some interesting areas as well that could be fun for an art on loan project. Number 10, where those trees are, is by the basketball court, so you probably wouldn't want that. But the entry, like 2 or 11, it could be something fun and whimsical that was more visible. And it might be good for the commission to, each of you go see that park and look at it as we I don't think we're prepared tonight to do much, but we are kind of on-ramping this idea and test driving it, that we're going to start to think about doing these sorts of things. So it's a good, again, a pilot for us in a way.
It also, if that Green Links group is still working hard, this is a great way to incorporate art into the Green Links plan.
And one thing I'll share is we wanted to get your feedback tonight of whether we can start to incorporate this into the design. Again, obviously a lot more work that would need to happen before anything was finalized, but I think to your point is that as we go out to bid on this process, if this commission is exploring artistic opportunities, we can make that part of what the group that we're working with. They're very supportive. Land Culture, thank you, it's escaping me. But they're very supportive of adding artwork in here. The mural was what was originally contemplated, and it sounds like there's some general support for that concept. But if there's other elements that come in, what we can do is we finalize the actual landscaping design and where the entryway are, bring back opportunities for you all to consider this park as well as other public spaces of where there might be additional opportunities for arts that could be either considered in addition to the mural or instead of the mural as we move through the process.
So do we need like a motion to do anything, or a motion that we would like to see a mural in this park?
I think what we're looking for tonight, I don't know if a motion's necessary, I'm looking over at Monique, but I think generally what we're looking for is if there's general support to explore a mural, and what I will do is work with the landscape architect. Essentially what they're going to do is plan the plantings accordingly, as if there would be a mural there. It would not, if for any reason we decide not to move forward, it's not going to derail the project, it won't derail the plan, but they're not going to plant giant maple trees, for example, right in front of that wall. They'll look at a different style of landscaping that would take place there, and so they can plan that around it, knowing that as we move through the final process with this park, you all refine what you're looking for as far as a mural or other art in that area. We can keep in touch as we move through the construction, so that when we actually, the design goes for review, but as far as if we need to move the trees in this direction, that gets finalized as we actually get into the construction plan. So essentially we're looking for if there was general consensus to continue to explore this, or if it was no, let's put our efforts elsewhere, is what we're looking for this evening.
Thumbs up if you're for the mural.
You have my general consensus.
Thank you. That's all we need for tonight, and what we'll do is we'll plan on bringing back at your next meeting more detailed information of where we are in the process, and then how we can move forward with a potentially forming, whether that's an ad hoc to work on that call for artists process.
Thank you for including us in that.
Thank you.
And I think we need public comment at
We
this
do.
point.
Thank you.
If there's public comment? No? Moving on. 4.6, utility box art wrap, and we are handing it off again.
Yeah, we're getting there. Thanks, everybody. This will be just a verbal update. I wanted to share where we were with the utility box art wrap, as I know that's something this commission has been involved with, and I'll give an opportunity for the ad hoc that's been working on that to share information as well. But as you all know, this is something that we've been working on throughout 2025. As the last time we met, you'd given approval for us to move forward with moving forward with a professional services agreement to work with a professional installer and manufacturer. Immediately following your meeting, that was approved by City Council. We entered into that professional services agreement. With any agreement, there's a little back and forth with the company, but we executed that agreement in early October, and we've been working on the design and template process ever since. As you all know, this is a pilot program, and with that comes a bit of a learning curve. And so it took longer than anticipated to get the templates for those utility boxes back. And so part of that is we want to make sure that the artwork that we received this summer in the call for artists, we're going to transpose, as we all imagine, from a flat two-dimensional piece of artwork onto the utility boxes. And so I will share, this is probably new to the ad hoc today, we just got those updated templates for each of our locations this afternoon. They landed in my my inbox, so we'll have the opportunity to move those forward. But I had a chance to meet with members of the Ad Hoc last week where we reviewed the artwork for a second time, and I will share that we are very close. The Ad Hoc's very close to making their final recommendations. We didn't want to bring those forward this evening because we want to make sure, again, that the art that we're selecting actually will look as we hope onto the utility boxes. And so where we are in the process is, now that we have those templates, we'll work either with the design manufacturer, or ideally we'll be able to do it ourselves, but we'll put those selected art pieces in there to come up with final proofs. And so what we're looking for this evening is some feedback from the overall commission, knowing that this was a goal to get completed, at least move into production in 2025. And so knowing that we didn't have selections for you to consider tonight, is the two options in front of you as a commission is we finalize our process, we continue on, we bring that back to you all, ideally at a special meeting. I know we just talked about adding meetings onto your calendar, but if we'd like to keep this moving forward, as we'd call a special meeting for you as a commission sometime here, ideally within the next month, where we would only be looking at the designs. It would be a single item meeting. The other option would be to give direction to the Ad Hoc to finalize their selections internally with staff, and then we'd immediately move into taking that forward to City Council. But what that would do is bypass the entire commission being able to weigh in on those final designs. And so we want to give those options. A third option would be to wait till your first meeting in 26, but knowing that means we wouldn't make a selection until early February, and then would need to follow suit by taking it to City Council. So that's what we want to talk to you about timing this evening. With that, I'd like to give Commissioners Emerson, Knudsen, and Van Wagner an opportunity to give any additional information, as they've been working with Ad Hoc much longer than I have.
Thank you. It's exciting taking a look at the submissions. You know, I think we all learned a lot through the process, and I want to ensure that we have quality as we move forward. So I appreciate taking time, even though it's taking longer than expected. I think it's for the good of the better of the program. So I do think it's good to bring it back to the commission, potentially a special meeting. That would be my recommendation. Even though we have the Ad Hoc, I think being as this is the first project that we're using the public art funds for, I think it's good to have all the commissioners weigh in, as it's also exciting and as we move this forward.
Yeah, I agree. I think a single item meeting wouldn't take very long. But we, should definitely get the input of everyone, because it's going to be a very visible project. And as you said, it's the first one, so want to do it right.
I would love to do this special meeting. As someone not on the Ad Hoc, I would love to see.
I think it's important because it is our first foray into this, and we're all learning, and we need to know what you've learned also, and see what you've been seeing and working on. So, because it can inform future projects, which is really important for us. But I do think that waiting until February is not wise, because it's taken long enough. And I also would like City Council and the city to see some results.
So I know it may be challenging to do at the dais. I'm hearing their support for a special meeting. What we can do is pull you all for options, because we also do need to check on room availability. Probably we'd be looking at the second week in December, knowing that we have the Thanksgiving week ahead. So we have availability here, so if you'd like to talk amongst yourselves, if you're ready to talk about dates, or we're happy to pull the commission, whatever you prefer.
I'm not available unless it's by video in December.
Just given the difficulty of scheduling around the holidays, I believe in order to make sure that we don't violate any Brown Act rules, is that the rules that we're trying to abide by, 3 commissioners can speak separately, correct? Without being in a public meeting? Without being on a commission, or how does that work?
As long as there's less than a quorum meeting, and you cannot create serial meetings by talking to one another independently, that's what you need to be careful of.
And since you're on the ad hoc, you wouldn't want to take that conversation outside of the ad hoc because you're already, yeah. I can make myself available for the meeting as best as I can. I'm away the first week of December.
Second week works for me, yeah.
Any other major dates to avoid? Otherwise, we can do a quick poll offline. When you guys have all a chance to check your calendars, I will send out a list of dates that do work for the chamber here, and then you can take a look at that. But we'll look to do that in the next day or so we can get that finalized and move that forward.
So, do we need public comment on this?
We probably should open for public comment, yes.
And we don't have a motion for necessary.
Yes, let's take a motion because we're moving forward with a special meeting at some point, so.
Okay, so I need a motion for this, a special meeting.
I'll make a motion to move forward with a special meeting for the utility box selection.
Second.
Roll call.
Commissioner Emerson?
Yes.
Commissioner Momsen?
Yes.
Commissioner Reiners?
Yes.
Commissioner Van Wagner?
Yes.
Commissioner Smull?
Yes.
Vice Chair Knudsen?
Yes.
Chair Schlelein?
Yes,
Thank you. The motion carries unanimously.
thank you. And our last item, 4.7, election of chair and vice chair. Hand it over to you, I believe.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Chair Schlelein. So annually, this commission sets their annual calendar for the next calendar year. So we're talking about 2026 now. And it's for the vice chair and the chair positions. The chair presides over the CFAC meetings on an annual basis, and then the vice chair performs the duties of the chair in their absence. The selection process for determining who will serve as chair and vice chair will proceed as follows. I will open the floor up for nominations. To make a nomination, anyone can state, "I nominate so-and-so." We don't need any seconds. However, if you would like to make a seconding statement for someone, you're more than welcome to do so. When no further nominations are made, staff will declare the nomination period closed, and then a roll call vote will be taken beginning with the first nominee. If that nominee receives the majority vote, then they will be declared elected and no additional votes will be taken on the remaining nominees. However, if no nominee receives the majority vote, the nomination and voting process will be repeated with nominees voted on in the order of their nomination. And then we will do this again for the vice chair position. So with that, I will turn it back over to the chair.
Okay, so nominations are now open for chair.
I nominate that Connie remain as chair of this committee.
Second.
Other nominations? So,
I will close the nomination period for chair, and I'll go ahead and do roll call. Commissioner Emerson.
Absolutely.
Commissioner Momsen.
Yes.
Commissioner Reiners.
Yes.
Commissioner Van Wagner.
Yes.
Commissioner Smull.
Aye.
Vice Chair Knudsen.
Yes.
And Chair Schlelein.
yes.
Thank you. The motion carries unanimously. Okay, now opening it up for the nomination for vice chair.
I was going to say, I'm happy if someone else would like it as well. I like serving, but it's a good opportunity if anyone else would like it, but I'm also happy to keep tonight.
I nominate Meredith.
Second.
Other nominations? Okay, roll call.
Nomination period is closed. Taking roll call, Commissioner Emerson.
Yes.
Commissioner Momsen.
Yes.
Commissioner Reiners.
Yes.
Commissioner Van Wagner.
Yes.
Commissioner Smull.
Yes.
Vice Chair Knudsen.
Yes.
Chair Schlelein.
Yes,
Thank you. The motion carries unanimously.
thank you. Now we have commissioner reports. Does anyone have a report? Something to report?
I just wanted to share when we were speaking about the creative student artist earlier, even the students that we don't select, and we often have students, so many talented and deserving students. My company that I work for, Sonoma Clean Power, just finished an art exhibit in which we reached out to 3 of the students that had previously applied that were not selected, and we highlighted them in our art show. So 2 painters and then 1 media artist, Kate Jernigan, Celia, now I'm forgetting her name, Celia, and then Sydney. So we're our 3 artists, and they were really excited to be able to be included in that and to highlight their art.
I'm on an art steering committee for the school district where we are trying to get visual and performing arts back into all the schools here. And they just hired a new lead for the visual and performing arts, coordinator basically. And they're focusing on elementary music. So hopefully in a few years we'll have even more music entries for the student creative artist.
And the exciting part is that after our last steering committee meeting, there are nonprofits on the steering committee as well as visual and performing arts teachers and district administrators. And unbeknownst to us, 3 of the nonprofits got together to start to work on a musical instrument drive in the community. And another nonprofit in town is already working on funding musical instruments because we have 40-some years of neglect in terms of musical instruments. The visual art, dance, theater, and multimedia also need help, but the steering committee decided that we needed to start simplifying to get something done. And so in this time of limited resources, rebuilding the music program was a pilot, and then we'll draft visual art elementary behind. So we're very hopeful because the music programs at the high school and the middle school have suffered because of the elementary dearth of musical programs. So things are starting to look up. We're getting good support, and thank you, Morgan, for serving on that. And Landa Lamone is the new visual and performing arts coordinator for the school district. And he is not a teacher in the district. He is the Vivo executive director, but works very closely with the music programs. So we're pretty excited about that. So, and for me, finally, I would like to acknowledge Sarah, who is Herculean in her work, and we all owe you so much. Thanks. We're really appreciative. And we have a little token.
Yeah, we have a little token, and really, I think just to what you have done for this commission and really elevated it to what we're able to accomplish now has really been your hard work and efforts and supporting the great commissioners that we have here. But thank you so much. And so we have some little words of wisdom, and I don't know what this is that for me? Okay, and then also we have we're going to send you and a special guest to just a tour and of Donham and to appreciate the art. So anyway, we'll get with you after that and get that scheduled for you. So
and the bag is a Sonoma bag from the Sonoma Valley Museum of Art. You've done so much, and we hope you stick around and help us a little bit.
You aren't going to get rid of me that quickly. There will be some discussions, I'm sure, and maybe Dave will give a little update on kind of how the Parks and Rec department is forming, and there's still a lot of discussions to happen, but I'm not going anywhere. And Dave and I have a quick quick line. We have the telephone with the cams and the wire and from office to office. So thank you. That's very a lovely gift and a lovely sentiment. And I've been so honored to play the lead role for my tenure with this commission thus far. I know I've learned and grown a lot, and it's really exciting to see things starting to hum now. And I just know he's gonna take it to the next level, which is exactly what my position is supposed to be. Just hold it and make sure that it gets lofted. So thank you.
So that leads into staff reports. Oh, excuse me.
Sorry, just one more. So actually, my 7 years here is coming to an end. This will be my last meeting. So it's just been a joy, and really just to see how the commission has evolved. Such professionalism and structure has been created, and really what you guys have been able to create. It's amazing what's happened in all of the projects that are very meaningful to the city, and it's really through your passion and your work that you've been able to do that. Connie and Meredith, you guys are just amazing. The whole commission is amazing, but you guys have just taken it to a whole nother level. It's really been incredible. So I've enjoyed seeing the evolution, and but it's time to let someone else step in and kind of be a part of that journey. And so thank you all.
Thank you. We're surprised, but it's going to be a big loss. You've been in everything, including making sunflowers. So, which was really fun, by the way. Thanks, Deb. We'll miss you. Now, staff report.
Well, these weren't intended to be part of my updates, but Commissioner Emerson, it's been a pleasure working with you in my short time here. You've done a great job bringing me up to speed, and I know have just a long legacy of doing really important work here on the commission. So thank you for all that you've done. And Sarah, you're not going anywhere. I appreciate the gifts there. No, the intent with the Parks and Rec Department is we are going to definitely take some things off of Sarah's plate, but even the commission packet you saw in front of you this evening, again, Sarah, with a lot of the heavy lifting, and I will continue to lean on her for advice, and this will not be the last you see of her, but the intent is that we free up some of her time because she's obviously very valuable throughout the city and has a lot of other priorities. So my only hope is that I continue to work with all of you and continue to keep things at the same bar that you all as a commission that Sarah's brought it to. So looking forward to the year ahead. Now into my actual quick reports, just wanted to let everyone know that we are still accepting applications for looking to fill a youth commissioner position, and we're looking to fill some youth commission positions in other commissions as well. And so we know it can be a challenging position to fill, but if you know any young individual students that may be interested or might be a good fit, I'd encourage you to have them put an application if they're curious about what the process looks like. I know we as staff would be happy to share with them, try to make it not as intimidating as possible, that it really can be a fun and rewarding experience, as you all know. I know that the City Clerk's office is trying to compile those towards the end of the year and see which ones we have and where we can fill those, but that is one that we're currently recruiting for, so we appreciate your support in spreading the word and would love to see that position filled. My other two, just some fun event updates, as you probably are aware, but in case you don't, this coming Saturday will be the lighting of the Sonoma Plaza. So if you're in town, hope that you can join us. That event starts at 5 o'clock. And then the following Saturday is the lighted tractor parade. So that's the Saturday following Thanksgiving, again in the plaza. There's a whole host of holiday events that are on the horizon. So we're getting into the holiday swing of things on the events and recreation side of things and all the wonderful organizations that help make those happen. Otherwise, I'll be reaching out to the Ad-Hoc on the utility box project so we can keep that moving forward. But I'll look to Sarah and Monique and see if there's any other announcements.
Well, I would be remiss if I didn't mention that, I don't think it's a secret, you can clearly see it, but also it was part of the lighting this year, the amphitheater got some special treatment. So I know that Lisa Jansen in our office, who is our special events coordinator, has been working hard doing outreach to performing groups to do some evening performances in that space through the winter, which is atypical for us, but with the lighting, it will really be a special experience. So I highly recommend, even if you can't make it on Saturday, that you should come and, I don't know, maybe do a tap dance on there. I'll join you. But it's a really special space, especially for our performing arts community. I think it's going to be a really wonderful opportunity to expand that kind of programming. And I'm sure there's lots of other things I could talk to you about, like hazard mitigation plans and general plans and website updates. But I will mention that the Parks and Rec Department website pages have been reorganized, and of course you fall within the Parks and Rec Department, so if you have a time to kind of look through that, there is a lot of public art and also just commission-based information there, and so I welcome you to look through that as your new home. You've always kind of been affiliated, but now it's a little more structured. So happy surfing.
Thank you. I think with that, we're adjourned. 8:10.